A gray sickness crept through the world. It bled the green from the leaves, silenced the birdsong, and turned the rich soil to dust. They called it the hush, for it stole the very life from the land, leaving an unnatural silence in its wake. Through these dying woods walked an old man, his blue cloak a slash of color in the monochrome decay. This was Merlin, and he carried magic not as a weapon but as a question. He followed the sickness to its heart, to the borders of Brocéliande, a forest whispered to be as old as the world itself. Here, the hush was absolute. The air was heavy, and the ancient trees stood like gray tombstones. Merlin placed a hand on the petrified bark of a great oak, feeling not the flow of life, but a cold, hollow ache. Deep within the forest's gloom, in a clearing where the moonlight should have pooled, stood the source. Yggdrasil, the great tree, the heart of all green and growing things. It was a titan of bark and bough, so vast its branches seemed to hold up the sky. But its leaves fell like a constant rain of ash, and its mighty form was scarred with veins of black corruption. From the weeping bark of the tree, a figure shimmered into being. She was a woman made of soft light and fading leaves, her form translucent and weak. "Help us," she whispered, her voice like the rustle of dry leaves. This was Ceridwen, the dryad guardian of Yggdrasil, and her spirit was fading with the trees. "A shadow has taken root in its heart," Ceridwen explained, her form flickering. "It feeds on the tree's oldest sorrows, turning its life into this poison. I can send you into its soul, its lignum anima, but be warned. The shadow will use the tree's memories, and your own, against you." She touched Merlin's forehead, and the world dissolved. Merlin fell through a vortex of splintered light and spiraling memories. He saw the birth of the forest, the rise of mountains, the silent march of stars. It was the lifetime of a god, and he was but a speck within it. This was the passage into the soul of the tree. He landed softly in a vast, dark cavern. The ground beneath him was a tangle of colossal roots, glowing with a faint, sickly purple light. This was the tree's foundation, its deepest and oldest memories. Whispers slithered in the dark, echoes of forgotten pains. From the shadows, a figure coalesced, his own master, his face stern and disappointed. "You are not ready for this, boy," the illusion boomed. "You have always been reckless. You will fail." The voice was a dagger of doubt, aimed at the deepest fear in Merlin's heart. "You are not him," Merlin declared, his own magic flaring to life. "You are only a memory." He pushed past the illusion, climbing a massive root upwards into the tree's trunk. It was a space of impossible scale, a cathedral of living wood, but it was infested. Shadow beasts, like wolves made of splintered, corrupted bark, snarled at him from the walls. Merlin did not hesitate. He drew runes of light in the air, unleashing bolts of pure white magic that struck the shadow beasts, causing them to disintegrate into dust and echoes. It was a desperate, swirling battle in the heart of a dying giant. After the fight, a moment of peace, a memory, pure and untainted, bloomed in the air before him. He saw the tree in its glorious youth, a sapling reaching for a sun that shone with impossible warmth, surrounded by a world teeming with vibrant, joyful life. It was a glimpse of what he was fighting for. He ascended into the branches, a breathtaking realm where he walked on boughs of solid light under a swirling cosmos of captured starlight. Here, the seasons shifted with every step, autumn leaves giving way to winter's frost, then bursting into the blossoms of spring. But the shadow's touch was strongest here. A beautiful memory of children dancing around the tree in a summer festival warped into a nightmare. The sky turned red, the laughter became screams, and the dancers turned into phantoms of fire and fear, reaching for him. In the world outside, Ceridwen knelt, her hands pressed flat against Yggdrasil's trunk. Her own light was dimming, but she focused all that she was, sending a thread of her strength, a whisper of guidance, into the soul of the tree to find Merlin. "Do not falter," she breathed. Merlin felt her guidance, a tiny spark of warmth in the cold nightmare. He hardened his will, shattering the illusion with a cry of defiance. Ahead, through the shifting seasons and phantom stars, he saw it, a chamber of pulsing, wounded light. The Heartwood. He stepped into the core of Yggdrasil. It was a sphere of gentle, golden energy, the very source of life for the forest. But coiled in its center, leeching its light, was a being of pure shadow, a knot of despair and ancient pain. The shadow unfurled, taking on a form that mocked his own, a dark mirror of himself, but with eyes of hollow emptiness. "You seek to destroy me?" it hissed, its voice the sound of breaking branches and weeping stone. "I am this tree's truth. I am its pain. To fight me is to fight its very history." The shadow showed him a vision of his failure. The light of the Heartwood extinguished, the tree turning to black stone, and the hush consuming the entire world, leaving Merlin utterly alone in an eternal silent twilight. It was a vision of absolute despair. Merlin looked at the vision, then at the creature of pain before him, and he understood. He lowered his hands, extinguishing his combat spells. "I am not here to destroy you," he said, his voice calm and clear. "Pain should not be destroyed. It should be healed." Outside, Ceridwen felt the change. Hope, sharp and sudden. She reached out, not with her own power, but with a plea. She called to the small, hidden spirits of the forest, the lingering life in the roots and moss, asking them to lend their strength not to a fight, but to a healing. Inside the Heartwood, Merlin gathered not the magic of fire or force, but the concept of life itself. A gentle green and gold light bloomed in his hands, a spell of mending, of acceptance. He held it out not as a weapon, but as an offering to the coiled shadow. The light touched the darkness. It did not burn it or banish it. It flowed into it, warming the cold despair, acknowledging the ancient wound. The shadow's monstrous form dissolved, not into nothingness, but back into the golden light of the Heartwood, becoming a healed scar within the tree's soul. A wave of pure, untainted life erupted from the Heartwood. It was the tree's first healthy breath in a century. The force of it was gentle but irresistible, pushing Merlin from the lignum anima, back through the vortex of memory and into the waking world. Merlin lay on a bed of soft, green moss. He opened his eyes to see the great tree, no longer scarred and gray, but vibrant with 1,000 shades of emerald. Before him stood Ceridwen, no longer faded, but radiant and solid, her eyes the color of new spring leaves. "You healed its memory," she said, her voice filled with awe. They stood together, the mage and the dryad, looking out from the clearing. A fresh, clean wind, the breath of the restored Yggdrasil, was sweeping out from the forest, pushing back the gray hush and waking the world with a promise of green. Merlin smiled. He had faced the heart of decay and learned that the greatest magic was not in erasure, but in acceptance.